All right. Welcome, everybody. We are back. I am going to start with giving you my sincerest apologies for not having a podcast last week. For those who don't know, I live in Florida, actually in Tampa, where Hurricane Milton was barreling down at us, and we definitely had other things more pressing. So I decided to cancel the podcast. I evacuated to Georgia. And came back to chaos. So I am just now getting back to some sense of normalcy. And I appreciate all of you. I just want to just give a couple seconds to say thank you to every single person that reached out, checked in to make sure that my family and I were safe, to check in, ask about how they can help and all the things. So if you haven't given, just consider any kind of, whether it's prayer, whether it's a donation, whether it's your time, whether it's sending needed supplies, whatever it is that's in your heart. I do want to give my sincerest thank yous to all of those who are in support of the entire Southeast that's reeling not just from Hurricane Milton, but also Hurricane Helene. So with that said, I would like to get back to some sense of normalcy for me. So this is my safe place. I love football, and I'm ready to talk about football with my girl, Beth. Hey, girl, how are you?
I'm doing well, and thank you for all of your help with the cleanup. I know we've seen you post a few times, and some of our friends post about how much you're doing to help out everybody in need down there. So I know it's been a challenge for not just your family, but for a lot of people around you. And I know everyone's grateful for what you've been able to do. So thank you for all that you have done. And everybody else, keep working at it. And let's do football.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know it. We're going to talk about our Rate the Fit segment here in a bit. And I have some surprises for you, Beth. I was able to get some stuff done while I was out of town. But for those of you who didn't see, and I'm not sure because I didn't catch the beginning of the Bucks game, but the images, the pictures that they took as they were heading to play their game in New Orleans. Who'd they play? Mm-hmm. Yeah, New Orleans. Yeah. Those pictures were just beautiful. They were black and white, and it was pictures of not just the player, their families, their pets, all the people that were evacuating to go play the game. It was really, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So if you haven't checked that out, go to their Instagram page, the Tampa Bay Bucks Instagram page, and look at those pictures. They are beautiful. So, all right. So we're going to chat football. And what we're going to start with is I'm in Georgia. It's Wednesday night. Hurricane is barreling down, all the things. And so once it was over and I knew that, my loved ones were safe, the ones that had stayed back, my friends and stuff that stayed here in Tampa were safe. I was able to kind of watch the start of the 49er game. We were a Thursday night game, right? And we played Seattle Seahawks. We were coming off a tough loss. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I so need a win. I watched till halftime, and then I'm so sorry. I was toast. I was like, I'm exhausted. I drove all the way to Georgia. I mean, I had to travel with my dog. He's never been on a trip, so now he thinks he's a road dog. But it was an interesting situation. So I only caught half the game and then had to watch the rest of it on the drive back home while my son drove the car. So that's how desperate I was to watch it. I let my 19-year-old drive the truck back home. So we got a W. We got the win. So I am so appreciative of that. We needed that. It was a great win. It was beautiful. Still kind of struggle in that fourth quarter, but we ain't going to talk about that. We're just going to be in appreciation, complete gratitude of the win. And that's all I got to say about that. Beth, talk to me about your Bills game.
I mean, I kind of sit in the same boat. Just gratitude that we won. Coming off of 2 losses, I believe Josh Allen has not lost 3 games in a row his entire career. So that was a big weight on our shoulder as well. Lots of injuries in Buffalo. It has been a painful road recently. But we're starting to slowly get some people back, and it has been great to get some of our defense back on the team, back playing again, some offense. Like it turned out a much better game than one would have expected for the Bills, despite all of the penalties, despite the fact that there were only 3 points for both the Jets and Buffalo in the second half, not even in the last quarter. The second half was probably the most painfully long football game I've ever watched with a positive outcome. So it's always great to see the Jets lose. It's always great to see Aaron Rodgers lose, but
yeah, I have to
it wasn't a pretty win either, for sure.
Yeah, Technics Chick, I love it, chiming in. 22 accepted penalties, like crazy.
Yeah, that's not all, and that wasn't even all. I mean, it was just. I mean, there was a penalty. What was it? For inappropriate conversation with the referee. Like, I looked at my husband because my husband refs, and I looked at him one day. I was like, "You're going to come out with that in a fight." Like, Dane's just going to like look at me one day, and he's like, "Inappropriate conversation with a referee," and just walk away. Like, he's going to shut down a fight one day with that phrase. And I'm like, how does that even? Like, it was painful. The second half was painful.
For those who don't know, Beth's husband is a referee, so that's what she's talking about there. I would love for him. I need footage when that day happens. I definitely want to see that when it happens. You know, it's funny because for those of you who've watched us since last year, Sherry was our third member of the team here who is not able to hang with us this season because her daughter is graduating this year. And so she wants to be present for all the things. She's a diehard Bucks fan. And so the spanking that the Bucks put on New Orleans was incredible. Like, I didn't even watch the whole game. I kind of switched over and I was like, whoa, what's happening here? It was really, really impressive. And so there was a 3-way text between us, or it was a Facebook Messenger between you and her that I missed out on because, again, I was just so exhausted. I caught the first half of the Bills game and then was like, I went to sleep after that and prayed that, the Bills came out on top because I saw that Hail Mary and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go.
Who does that? Who does that at halftime? I know. That was, Continue. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was very happy to see the next day when the Bills pulled it off. And, watching your guys' back and forth was the best part for me. It was just like, oh, I can't watch. I'm listening to, I'm reading your guys' messages back and forth. And it's just like his smug face. We just need to see this go down. He needs to, just sit down. And then not long after that game, we hear what? We hear Davante Adams has been traded to the Jets. So the Raiders cut a deal. Let's talk about that. The Raiders get a conditional 3rd-round pick that can become a 2nd-round pick should Davante become an All-Pro this year or be on the active roster for the AFC Championship or Super Bowl. So,
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah,
I don't remember listening to that. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the full deal here. So what are your thoughts about this? And we didn't even talk about the Robert Saleh firing from, that was going to be last week's segments. We missed that whole conversation too. So you can start talking about the Saleh firing and then the addition of Davante Adams. What does that mean for the Jets team? What do you think about all this?
I mean, I think it's Aaron Rodgers' team now, isn't it? I mean, I think isn't that the whole wasn't that kind of the whole game plan, right?
Yeah.
Aaron had the chance to he found an opportunity and is taking advantage of it. So good for him for finding what he needs. But I've heard mixed things about Robert Saleh as a head coach before and after. Some really liked him, some did not. So I think he got a shot. He's the first coach who's made it to season 4 without a winning season prior to that since a really long time. Since they had a winning season, maybe. It's been a minute. So the fact that he was fired isn't terribly surprising. I think the timing of it is kind of bizarre. I guess they're still trying to save the season is their thought process. So you get rid of a coach that hasn't had a winning record. You pull in Davante Adams, who Aaron Rodgers has been vying for a while. You still have Lazard. I don't know. Do you think it's enough to turn him around?
So this is interesting because there was a side-by-side that I showed of the teammates that were with him in Green Bay and the people that are now with him in New York. And what's fascinating is Robert Saleh, who y'all know, I love me some Robert Saleh, right? He was a 49er defensive coordinator and then went to the New York Jets. So I love him. I mean, I can't speak for, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what his interactions are with every player. He was fantastic for us. I would love for him to come back if he ever desired and if that opportunity was ever there. That said, if all of this blame was put on him, the offensive coordinator was handpicked by Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he was Rodgers' offensive coordinator in Green Bay. So what are we saying, that the offense sucks because of Robert Saleh? Like, is that what we're talking about? Because I'm pretty sure the offensive coordinator, what's going on
That's
there.
his responsibility, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I think this is a bad move for Davante Adams. I mean, I get that he has familiarity with Aaron Rodgers and that connection with Davante Adams, but I don't know that this is what he really wants. Like a long-term fit, this isn't it. I mean, maybe do they really have that viable of a opportunity here to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, to get a chip, for all those things? I'm not sure. And then I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers has longevity past this year, to be honest with you. I don't. Yeah. So
I agree. I think it's very, very short-sighted. I think for both, like Davante Adams and Lazard when he came over as well, you've got these two guys that still have a lot of years of playing left, several years. Aaron Rodgers does not, right? I mean, no matter how you slice it, there's only so many years he's still going to have in the NFL and be productive. Okay. So we're not, unless they think the Super Bowl is in their grasp this year with the addition of him, or he thinks he can make the team go to the Super Bowl, I don't see what the long-term gain for them is. I don't know. I don't know if they have that much trust in their backup quarterback or whatever quarterback they're going to get after that, right? So, and he wasn't cheap.
No,
he was not cheap. So he was a very expensive move for a very short.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it works out. But here's what I will share. It is fascinating that during this whole situation, at some point, Davante Adams, you ready for this? I'm going to share my screen because this is what we're going to talk about right now. Here we go. Share the screen. Davante Adams had been, dealing with a hamstring injury. He missed 3 games. And this is Davante Adams' hamstring injury after he's traded to the Jets.
He's healed. And I sent you the one of the dog with the broken legs in the back that was like crawling on just his 2 front legs, and then all of a sudden he pops up on all 4. I mean, come on, y'all.
Yeah. So for those who can't see the screen, who is just watching us or listening to us from wherever you listen to podcasts, I just showed the image of the Forrest Gump when he was little Forrest Gump and he had the braces on, and then he suddenly starts running and the braces come off. Beth's talking about the one that's been circulating of the dog that's like his hind legs are just laying on the ground and he's just walking with his front legs, and then all of a sudden he starts getting up like nothing was wrong with him. So that's hysterical.
He's been miraculously healed. I'm glad that he's back.
Yeah. Technics Chick agrees. She said, while Rodgers may have brought in Hackett, likes him, Hackett seems to not have been a good OC, wasn't really a good head coach previously, et cetera. Yeah, agree. And also she goes on to say Davante already showed up at the Jets facility one day after being traded. He actually showed up on the McAfee show. They were interviewing Aaron Rodgers, and then all of a sudden, Davante comes
popping in,
like, what up? So, they're definitely excited. I mean, good for them. Good for Jets fans. If you're a Jets fan, I don't want to hate. Do your thing. It's just in true Sherry voice. I can't believe that Aaron Rodgers was such on a high pedestal for me, and boy, has he fallen down from that pedestal for a lot of us. But shout out to you. Do your thing. I don't want to be a hater, so we'll carry on. But the one I'm really excited with, and I texted you as soon as I saw the news break.
You got it before I did.
That's why I sent it to you immediately. Amari Cooper has been traded to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills will
Yay.
get Amari Cooper and a 2025 sixth-round draft pick. The Browns get a 2025 third-round pick and a 2026 seventh-round pick. So what do you feel this addition is going to do for your Buffalo Bills?
Gosh, we needed somebody like him, right? So losing, and I say this with all respect in my heart. When we lost Diggs, we lost a big portion, right? So we lost a big playmaker. But we also lost something that we were trying to get rid of, right? He didn't leave because his contract was up. We didn't cut him because he was going to save us money. Like, we're losing money on that loss. So we knew it had to be done. But playing these last few games, like, man, we just have not been able to. Josh Allen hasn't found like that one connection, right? Like, so we've talked a lot about, Sean McDermott and Josh Allen have been talking a lot about everybody eats, right? So there's lots of options. There's lots of targets. With that comes, there's not like that foolproof safe bet, right? And I'm hoping that somebody like Cooper is going to give us that, right? He's going to give us that consistency, that steadiness, that history, that knowledge, that veteranship of it, to really give us a little bit more oomph and make us more dangerous. Because if we have him to pull defenders, right, that's going to open up all of our other guys. And I think that's going to give us a lot more things to play with. So here's to hoping. I'm excited. I'm excited for new stuff.
I love this for you guys. Yeah, you've really missed that strong receiver that can be a vertical threat, have good separation, open up, your offense to where defense has to play a little bit more honest. They have to sit there and say, oh, we got to mark, Cooper. We got to make sure that we don't let him get loose. And I
think Coleman will be that person down the road. Like, I see Keon Coleman growing into that role, but he's just too young still. He hasn't really gelled with NFL level versus what he was playing before. Like, he was dominant before, and now he's got to figure out how to be dominant where he is now. So super excited about that. And then we also, I don't know if you heard as well, we just, I think we just signed another kicker as well.
Yeah. About kickers. Game. First of all, let me say, what up, Roscoe's? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you here. Technics Chick says, Bill saw the Jets trade for Devontae and said, we'll do that too. Love that.
But not at that price point, we won't.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't
we got a much better deal.
I didn't see that you guys got a kicker, but I did see that the 49ers have managed to injure 2 kickers in 2 weeks. So Money Moody went out. He was, he was tackling and he injured himself. He injured his ankle. And then we get this new guy actually from Tampa who was, getting ready to evacuate for the hurricane and got picked up by the Niners. So that was pretty convenient for him and his family. So they rolled out there. He was doing great, had an awesome game. And then he went to tackle. And what did he do? Dislocated his shoulder. Actually, that could have been the injury that we talked about. That's a fun injury to talk about. And so I'm like telling my husband this. He's like, well, he can still kick. Everybody's telling me he can still kick. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you can get, there's definitely mechanics there with your shoulder that you kind of need to kick. People think you don't need that to kick.
No, you don't need shoulders.
Yeah.
Playing whatnot. Well, in any case, if you watch the Bills-Jets game, you also saw how poorly our kicker is doing. Tyler Bass, he's had quite the season. He hasn't really done what we needed to do so far this year. So they just brought in, who is this? Harrison Mevis from Mizzou. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is that he has a much better kicking completion than Tyler Bass does at this point. So maybe it'll either put a fire up his butt and Bass will put things back in order. But he shanked an extra point. Did you see that?
It was not in the second. If it was in the second half, I didn't see it.
It wasn't. It was in the first. It was so far shanked.
Oh
like
wait,
you thought
no,
it was
you're right.
blocked.
I did see that. Yeah.
It looked. Yeah, no, it looked like my son kicked it. Or me, for that matter. It was so bad. Anyway, it will give him some competition, and he'll either start doing better or he will find somewhere else to go.
Well,
so that's good news for us as well.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of which, let's go into Okay, you ready to be impressed?
I am. Let's do it.
Here we go.
We got music.
Yes, we got music. It's Wait Fit, guys. This week we did defense. We picked a couple of players for defensive players to be in competition over who had the cleanest fit. And I'm happy to report it's my football crush, Fred Warner. So this is the picture.
Good.
He's so good. He always looks so fresh. He's so clean. So Jake Brendel, Isaac Garendo, and Fred Warner are all pictured here, but Fred Warner is all the way to the right. I'm going to give you his one-on-one there. That's my man right there. So congratulations, All-Pro Fred, who has been playing out of his mind. He is, in my mind, the lead for Defensive Player of the Year right now, especially with the injury for Aiden Hutchinson, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But before we get to that, I want to go to...
Yes!
Oh, boy, this is just so fun, isn't it?
Look at all that sound. It's so good. And it helps for everybody who's listening and not watching. They can kind of get a feel.
All right, so it's cocktail mocktail. So I'm going to let you take this one, Beth. What do we got?
So tonight we have a game that nobody's going to watch this upcoming week. It is.
Sorry, Jacksonville fans.
It's for Jacksonville. It was going to be for last week, but we had to shift around a little bit. But so this is Jacksonville. It is a breakfast martini. It's the Jaguar Sour, and it's gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, a little bit of orange marmalade, and an egg white. So you get your protein in the morning as well. So it's a good breakfast to have while you're sipping, watching New England and the Jags in London, bright and early.
I love that it's a breakfast beverage. Who knew? You can see the recipe at vinepair.com. That's where we got the recipe from. We just changed it up, changed the name. But that's exactly where the recipe came from. So I was fascinated by the egg white. Is there actually egg white in your beverage that you have right now?
There is. That's what makes the white froth on the top. And what I have learned is that most sours, like a gin sour or any of those type of other sours, end up being, it comes with an egg white. So no, egg whites are just... They're part of it. And like I said, a little bit of protein.
Love it. Okay. And then let's go to the mocktail. So for all of the kids that you may have at your tailgates or just those who do not drink, what do we got? We got sparkling Jag juice is what I called this one.
So this one was good. Again, same thing, something fun for, if you have a brunch or something like that, or while the adults are having mimosas or having our other breakfast martini, breakfast sour, you can have its sparkling lime flavored water. So you can do like a LaCroix, or you can do, my kids love the Izzy's because they're a little bit more fruity. Grape juice. You can squeeze your own, but that seems a lot of work in our world, especially with kids. Simple syrup, raspberries, and lime wedges. Super easy. You put it all together, stir it up. And the kids love it. You can get the little plastic cups if you want, or stay in the fancy glass ones. But it's a fun drink, and it's super refreshing and light. And so everybody gets to join in the fun.
Awesome. All right. We're going to have that posted on our Instagram page. So please check out Girlfriends in Football on Instagram, where we will post those recipes in the next day or two. All right, guys, I'm just going to give you a heads up. You're going to if you've got a little bit of a queasy stomach, you might not want to watch all the pictures here that I'm about to show you, but here's our next segment. It's so good, isn't it? So good. So it's sports and medicine, guys. This is the segment that Beth and I absolutely love, not because we love talking about people's injuries so much as, it's upsetting to see your favorite player, any player, really have a horrible injury, but it's our opportunity to educate. And so we are going to talk about Aiden Hutchinson. He plays for the Lions. Incredible athlete, was on track to be, in a lot of people's minds, the defensive player of the year. He was just having this incredible season. And he happened to, I'm going to show you the pictures now. So if you don't want to see them, make sure you turn away. Let's see. So this was the injury. He was whipping around, and I kind of liken this to a karate move. So I'll take that image off. Don't look still, because this is another image there afterwards where you can see the obvious fracture there. So we'll take it off of that, and I'm going to put on just a picture of two legs here. All right. So what we're going to talk about here is what happened is he came around. He was, full speed. His leg kind of went up and went airbound, so to speak. And it hit right into another player's leg that was coming up. So as his leg was coming, let me take this off so you can see my arms. But if you're listening, you'll just have to kind of understand what I'm trying to say here. He's kind of spinning, leg goes up, another player comes in and just hits that leg. And I mean, it's literally like a karate chop through a board is literally what happened. And it just broke his tibia fibula. And in the second image that I showed, there's what we call tenting, right? So the obvious deformity, there seemed to be some tenting. The question is whether or not, now we know it's fracture. The question is it a compound fracture? What a compound fracture is where there's a break in the skin. So the fracture not only tents the skin, but there's compromise, there's a break in the skin. And my guess is that this was a compound fracture. The reason why I think that is because he was in the operating room within, 24 hours. He was having surgery. And compound fractures, you need to do that. If it wasn't a compound fracture, generally, they like to immobilize them and let the swelling kind of calm down so that they can have a better closure at surgery. So, what does that mean long term? The biggest thing, this is the most critical time for him right now, because you want to make sure he doesn't end up with injuries or end up with complications. Things like compartment syndrome, which is where in the lower leg you have a number of small little muscles that are encapsulated in connective tissue that when they swell, they can't really swell out. So it swells in on the vasculature and the nerve endings. And so that can cut off blood supply, and it can cut off nerve innervation to the lower leg. It's a emergency situation if that happens. And then you have to go back in for something called a fasciotomy, which is where they have to cut open that connective tissue to release and allow the swelling to happen so it's not compressing on the nerves and the vessels. For those of you that are familiar with the Alex Smith injury, this is what happened to Alex Smith. He had a fracture of the lower leg. He ended up with compartment syndrome. They had to cut him open. He ended up with an infection. He ended up with long-term nerve damage. I am not saying that this is what's going to happen to Aiden Hutchinson, but this young athlete needs our prayers. He needs to be, he is not out of the woods. I wouldn't even worry about whether this man's coming back this season. Let's make sure that he gets through this immediate post-op period. The next week or two will give us all the information to know if he's out of the woods and if he's going to do well. So once he's surgically corrected, there's a number of ways to approach this. They can do a plate and screws, or they can do a rod down the tibia, and that's connected by screws up at the top and at the bottom. So that's the surgical situation, and then the complications and the things that we have to look out for in this injury. But I'm going to turn it over to Beth now, who can talk more about the rehab side of things. Once he's out of the woods, what does this mean for him? What does the timetable look like?
Right. So based on how severe we don't know exactly how severe it was, other than the fact that they went in for surgery right away, right? So we don't know if they used plates and screws, if they were able to go in more less invasively and just do some pins, things like that. There, as you said, there are different options. The thing is what happens right afterward, because the surgeries are so good, typically they want you weight bearing pretty close to right away. You're in a boot, you're doing what you can tolerate pain and mobility wise, but they try and get you up and moving almost immediately. It is no longer the case that immobilization and rest is the best bet for rehab. We want to get things moving, stretch um, in short increments, so that when you are healed enough, which is like 6 weeks to 8 weeks, you can start then really putting some more stress and pressure on those joints and on those ligaments.
So you said just because you're getting a little muffled, I'm not sure where that's coming from, but you were saying once you can weight bear, did you say 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks or
6 to 8 weeks? So right, so you want to initially weight bear is right away. You'll be in a boot, you'll be immobilized, but we want some weight bearing and some gentle stretching from day one. If you immobilize too much right away, then things tighten up, we lose strength, we lose elasticity, and it becomes a harder rehab process down the road. So you want controlled stretching, controlled movement initially. At about 6 to 8 weeks is when we can start taking off that boot, being a little bit more aggressive. We're still looking at making sure we don't end up with those infections, making sure we don't end up with too much pressure, which then causes that compartment syndrome that can cause some of those other issues. What we're looking to do then is slowly working our way back up to mobility. We're looking at, I mean, he's an athlete, he's young, he's got a lot of the best trainers on his side. We're looking at jogging and running at 4 months, 5 months, but we're not looking at high level competition for 6 to 8 months. I would not encourage him to attempt to go back that high level until next season in training camp. We've got to give it time to heal. We've got to give the bones time to set in place, and we've got to just rehab it slowly. This is one of those injuries. I mean, these are small bones that carry a lot of our body weight, right? Those two bones, the tibia and the fibula, the tibia carries 80% of our body weight when we're on that leg. So, and they're thin, they are not large bones. So to put that much force and stress on these small bones in our body, we really need to take our time and let it heal properly. Because if it doesn't heal properly, there's a lot of damage that can come from it. There's just too much stuff down there, like you said, the nerves and the small space for the compartment syndrome and all of that. We can cause a lot of permanent damage if we don't take our time.
Yeah, and I'm just showing the image now, the tibia and fibula. Now you see on the image on the right there has the tibial shaft fracture. I don't think that that's where his fracture is. It's a little bit lower down, and I do expect that it was also his fibula as well. I think I did read somewhere where it was both bones, which is incredibly unstable fractures when you have both bones fractured there. So this is not a diagram demonstrating his specific fracture or injury. I'm just, putting this up here so you can see where the tibia and fibula are. And that it would be a fracture through the lower part of both bones. So, and
let's not also forget another big point about this injury is that tibia connects muscles not only up the chain through our thigh into our hips, but down to our feet, right? So that bone connects that whole chain, both lower and upper part of our leg. There's stresses and strains from both directions pulling on it. It's a nasty one. This is a nasty injury.
Yeah. And if you look at Alex Smith, for those of you who watch him on Sundays, now that he's a commentator, you can see when he's doing, going through plays and discussing, different situations in football, when he's walking,
he has a brace.
You can see even that he has what's called a foot drop. And what a foot drop is when there's nerve damage that doesn't allow your foot to dorsiflex up, to allow your foot to lift up. So it kind of like limps. And I think you said that did you say it's a special kind of brace that he has?
He's got an AFO. He's got like a posterior leaf AFO. So it looks smaller. So it's real thin through the back and it's less observable. So then it just goes inside his shoe and it kind of keeps your foot almost at like a 90-degree angle, just so that you don't have that toe drag. It basically looks like a toe drag. Like if your foot falls asleep and you're trying to walk and like you catch your toe, it's a toe drag. You're not able to pull those toes up and clear it.
So an AFO is just a brace that goes on the leg that helps keep his foot at his ankle joint at 90 degrees so it doesn't drop, is what she's saying. So all the best to you, Aiden Hutchinson. We wish you the very best in your immediate recovery and long-term recovery. Just take it day by day and prayers up for sure. So, all right. I didn't get to use this one. I'm going to use it now. Do I use it now? Darn it, I messed it up. I wanted to do this one when we were talking about the, all right, I'm going to do it. Here we go. I'm just going to show it to you. It's time for Who's in the News. And this was
news.
This was supposed to be when we talked about the Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams trade, but we couldn't hold off. It was just too exciting.
It flew and
it just went.
The flow. We had to just run with what we had.
Exactly. So right. All right. So this is the last one, and then we'll get into the games coming up this week. So here we go. Game of the week, guys. All right. So this is the part where Beth and I will talk about the games coming up this week, and we'll decide on who we think the game of the week is going to be. So if you're interested, you can go onto our Instagram page and check out who we've picked as winners for this week. Beth, we didn't talk about, let's see, we're on week 7. We missed week 6, but we didn't talk about the results of week 5. What did our
so long ago?
Do you even know? I know I'm throwing
you won. You won week 5.
I won week 5, guys. That was my first win all season.
But you know what? I won week 6 because you didn't.
Oh, because I didn't do. But that's because I didn't do my pick. Look at her.
I mean, I'm sorry. You didn't turn in your homework. You don't get credit.
Definitely. Dang it! Won't do.
But I will say, I did have 10 correct last week. So
Sweet.
For week 6. So there's a good chance I might have won anyway. I'm just saying.
I'm here for that. I can celebrate a win for my friend here. All right, so picks of the week tonight. Broncos are playing the Saints in New Orleans, and we both have picked the Broncos. This was actually kind of tricky for me. I'm not quite. Maybe it wasn't as tricky.
They're feeling themselves right now. I think they're finally starting to get a little gel together. New Orleans has not. They haven't looked very crisp lately. I think we made the right choice.
Well, Derek Carr's still out too, right? So
yes.
Oh, hey, what's up, Bebop? Thank you. All right, so Patriots are playing the Jaguars. That's the game that you guys are going to enjoy, the Jacksonville Jaguar Martini or the Sparkling Jags. Is that what I call it? Sparkling Jags juice, I think is what I called that. So either one, you can enjoy that drink. Again, go to our Instagram page where you can get that recipe a little later. But we both, this is the split. So you pick the Jags, I pick the Patriots. What are your thoughts?
Jet lag is real. Jag has been there for a week already.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Patriots could, I don't know. This is just one of those games. It's not exciting to me. I'm like, whatever. I don't know that I really particularly care who wins this one.
Are concerned about 2 1-5 teams?
Sometimes I just throw something out there and just say, you know what? I think this is what I'm going to go with this week. So we'll see. We'll see if that works. The following game, the other game at 1:00 is the Seahawks playing the Falcons in Atlanta. We both have the Falcons winning that game. And then Titans are playing the Bills in Buffalo. We both pick the Buffalo Bills to win that game. Oh, is Amari going to play already? Yes. So that's going to be a fantastic.
No, let's do it.
Exciting. So exciting. And by the way, it makes me even more excited to go to this Bills-Niners game too. I think that's going to
you're going to have a great time. Yes.
So, okay. Bengals play the Browns. We both picked the Bengals. I don't think we even need to explain that one, right? Like,
especially now. I mean, whatever chance they may have had prior to this pick is now done.
Yeah. No. Bye-bye. I wonder how much, I don't know. What are the Browns? We'll address that at another
That requires a deep dive for sure.
I was going to say, I don't want to go down that wormhole. Texans are playing the Packers, and you picked the Packers. I'm fascinated by this. Please share. The Packers? I mean, it's in Lambeau, but come on, it's the Texans.
I know, but again, Texans aren't God.
You keep telling me that. That just repeats. Is it because they play? Is it because they have Stephon Diggs? Like, let's be real. Are we just?
I mean, that might be part of it, but
All right.
I still think. I don't know. Green Bay's sneaky like that.
All right. I'll go with it. Oh, yes. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Technics. All right. So Dolphins are playing the Colts. We both picked the Colts. Lions are playing the Vikings, and we're split on this. I really had to think about this. You know, the Vikings are coming off a bye. Will Sam Darnold continue to be hot? They're undefeated still. And you have the Lions coming in and saying, we're taking it.
I think it's going to be a great game. No matter what, I think it's going to be a great game. Yeah, in Minnesota. Also, I am going back to my theory that no one is going undefeated this season. And if somebody's going to take it from the Vikings, it might as well be the Lions.
I have to go with this because I know who you picked for the Niners-Chiefs game. So I love you for this. And now I hate myself for picking the Vikings over. Now I feel like I should pick the Lions. So could this be the game of the week?
I think it might be. It's going to be a great game, I think. I don't know. I love watching the Lions play right now. And the Vikings are hot. They're a great team to watch as well. I think it's going to be a really good game.
All right. Well, Laura, you heard it. If you're listening somewhere out there, your beautiful Lions were picked by Beth, and I'm a loser for not picking them. So, all right. Next up.
If I win, that's why. Or if I lose, that's why.
This one hurts my feelings. Eagles, Giants in New York. So it's at MetLife. We both picked the Eagles. I really did not want to pick the Eagles, especially after the stint with Sirianni last week. Did you watch that?
I know.
For those who don't know, he started talking trash again to the fans from the sideline. As a head coach, I just think it's a bad look. And then after the game, he was kind of like, his kids were up there during the press conference, and he kind of hid behind, like, what is, bro? And then did you see that Jason Kelce was asked about this?
No.
So they asked him what he thought about his coach doing this, and he was like, well, kind of obviously it's not a good look, but you know, sometimes you do things to kind of fire up your players, and I'm like, so okay.
Look, Jason was just having a good time being a Bills fan. He didn't really care about what else was going on.
Yes.
He was tailgating with the Bills fans again. He was in a water buffalo costume. I
sent you that picture. I was like, "Get your boy. He's turning into a Bills."
He wore a golden drumstick wing, buffalo wing around his neck on a chain. I mean, he's in it. He's in it. He's mafia. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, got it. And so the Raiders are going to be Sans Devontae Adams playing the Rams in LA. You picked LA. I picked the Raiders. I feel like they're getting rid of some bad energy, and I feel like this might be a little something that give them a little juice. And the Rams are still a little banged up and in shambles a bit, so it might be the opportunity for a Raiders win. So
I'll be honest, I had no idea on this one. This was a crapshoot pick for me. I don't love either of them, so I didn't have a whole lot to say one way or another. So we'll see.
Got it. I like this. Bebop Jones said, more like the South Jersey Eagles. Facts. All right, so let's go on to the next group. Let's see. We've got Panthers versus Commanders. I mean, that was a no-brainer. I think we both feel like Commanders are going to win that one. And then here it is, Chiefs, Niners. How is this not the Sunday Night Football game? This is the Super Bowl rematch.
Rematch. That's true. I wonder why they didn't make that. I don't know.
So
very good call.
Said, speaking of whether receivers are playing this week, Ricky Pearsall not only had his window opened, not only was out practicing during bonus practice on Monday, but full practice today. And I
Oh.
am going to shout out Locked On 49ers host Brian Peacock. He had it was hilarious. He put on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call that. It was a group of three men that were like roller skating, and they were jamming out, and they were like all in a group, and it was just like Debo, Jawan, or maybe it was Debo, Ayuk, and Pearsall, coming in hot. And I'm like,
Nice.
yes, I'm on that. So I'm here for it. Ricky Pearsall may be active for this game this week, and I don't know. So let me ask you this, Technics chick. Would you want, Jauan Jennings is banged up. And in fact, let's talk about you were talking earlier, Beth, about the injuries to the Bills. So today, Maliek Collins is out. He didn't participate. Jauan Jennings didn't participate. Our two kickers, Matthew Wright and Jake Moody, did not participate. Trent Williams and Leonard Floyd didn't participate, but they're not injured. They're just resting players. Limited participation was Jordan Elliott, Darrell Luter, Jordan Mason, Malik Mustafa, and Debo Samuel, his wrist. And then full participation was Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Ricky Pearsall, and Charvarius Ward. So we are a bit banged up. So this will be a great opportunity for Ricky Pearsall. I'm definitely down for that. Roscoe's is calling an upset. Panthers over Commanders. This guy, let me tell you about this. He sneakily calls things out that I'm like, wow, you were really right about this. So I'm going to hold you to that,
I'll
Roscoe's.
be curious. I'll be excited to see that. I haven't seen my son's picks yet. I wonder if that's his upset of the week too.
That's right. We got to see that. Okay, so we're both witnessing. We're hoping that the Chiefs fall. They'll no longer be undefeated. I had to listen to ESPN today talk about how they are gone 11 straight now, 11 straight W's. So I think I would love for the 49ers to take this W at home against the Chiefs. I would be elated. So let's make that happen, people. Let's make that happen. Then we got
maybe they'll have the same refs that were at the Buffalo Jets game last. Just have it run on forever. At least they'll get annoyed, if nothing else.
Gosh, well, that's fine because it's not the Sunday night game, so I'll get to bed on time because it's the Jets versus the Steelers. And the interesting thing is they're talking about Russell Wilson being the starting quarterback for this game.
Again,
Fields has been doing such a knockout job, so it'll be interesting to see. I think as of the reports that I heard earlier today, it's still kind of up in the air. We'll see which quarterback.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't see Russell Wilson coming back for a hot minute.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's been practicing and participating, and he says he's open to it. We'll see. I don't know.
Of course, he's open to it.
Well, Jets. So they're playing the Jets. This is going to be in Pittsburgh, so it's Jets Steelers. This will be the first time we will see how well Davante Adams' hamstring is.
I mean, he's had plenty of time to rehab it. So at this point, if it's not 110%.
He did give credit to the Raiders training facility. He said that they definitely got him optimized just in time for
just in time.
Speaking of injuries, I do want to also mention, I didn't mention this when we were talking about the Chiefs-Niners game, but they're posting pictures of CMC, of Christian McCaffrey at practice. And I immediately tweeted that with the emoji where the guy's covering his eyes. And I was like, I cannot look. Like, I just get sick watching him move. I can't even, it's like watching your 3-year-old go out there and play like tackle football for the first time, right? You're like, oh my gosh, he's going to it's going to be a bad situation. So prayerfully not. And then there was some sneaky Instagram post on Olivia Colpo's account on Instagram. So she put up like a string of pictures. So you kind of had to scroll through to see the picture where Christian McCaffrey is kind of leaning in, has his hand on her tummy. So I was like, Christian, sit your ass down. Your Achilles need to be
right, do not.
Sorry, I'm super protective over Christian McCaffrey right now. All right, finally, we've got the Monday night games. We've got a doubleheader. So we have the Ravens playing the Bucks here at home in Tampa. And I may try to see if I can get tickets and take my hubby to that game. He is a Ravens
that should be a
fan.
great game. Sorry, Desi. Sorry, Sherry. Sorry. I had to do it.
I'm glad you said that. So Sherry was originally, when she cheered for your Bills game on this past week, she put in there, you know, I always cheer for my girls' team. So I'm going to make sure she sees this and just like, that's Beth's arrow.
Look, I'm still going to cheer for the Bucks. I'm just saying my points lie on the Ravens.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Don't let Mike Evans get hot is all I'm saying. Ravens have an incredible defense. Their secondaries look, you know, very nice. Bucks have a good defense. I think this could be a great game. I also think this could be potential for game of the week. And then following that, we have the Chargers playing the Cardinals. We both have the Cardinals winning. So I think the three games that we talked about potentially being the games of the week was this Ravens-Bucks game. We said it could be the Lions-Vikings game, or we said, in my mind, it could be the Niners-Chiefs game. Which one do you think is the game of the week?
I am ready for Detroit to take down
Minnesota.
I'm ready. Minnesota.
Wait. Okay, well then I'll say it's easy for me to say this. I'm ready for the Chiefs to get rid of their So I
think we're on the same page.
Okay, I don't think any of those are wrong options. So, all right, guys, if you guys want to tell me who you think the game of the week is, feel free to put it in the comments now, or make sure you connect with us on Instagram or anywhere.
And we'll be watching that Panthers game now. I have a renewed interest in this game.
All right, Roscoe, that one's for you. We're going to be checking out the Carolina game. Not, but if Beth says she will, I'll let her do that. She'll take one for the team. I'll just look at the score as it comes up. So
that works too.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Week 7 preview. Enjoy your weekends. You know, again, continue to keep my town, Tampa, in your prayers, along with the entire Southeast, as communities are still trying to recover from both Hurricanes Milton and Hurricanes Helene. Thank you again for all your support, your love, and your kindness. Guys, enjoy this weekend. It's football season, so go enjoy and happy football. Take care, guys.
Football.